Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another 3D printed video. Once again, we are delving into the realms of Arch Villain Games for another sponsored video. I've done about 5 or 6 videos for Arch Villain Games now, and each and every one of them I've usually chosen the biggest and craziest model from their line. So usually it's a big mech or a robot or a big monster or something like that to showcase their designs. This month I thought I would delve into the smaller miniatures in their month's release and see what the detail is like on that and see if they hold up to the rest of their line. So the miniature that I'm going to be using for today's video is from their April bundle, Blind Fate, the Dare Syndicate. So this is a beautiful model. It jumped out at me as soon as I saw a list of all their miniatures for that month. I immediately asked for the file and I got cracking. So I tried a few different things with this paint job as well, some gloss red armor, something that I haven't really delved into at all on the channel so far. So it was a lot of fun to work with, and I hope you guys like how it turned out. I will talk to you a little bit more about this month's bundle later on in the video. For now, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep the lights on, the cameras rolling. If you're interested in joining my Patreon campaign, there's links to that below. Benefits include a private Discord server and an extra video every single week. So that's 52 extra videos a year. Without further ado, let's get painting. So this is the model that I chose from their April release. As you can see, it's quite a plain model, but the detail on it is spectacular, and I think they absolutely nailed the pose. This one just spoke to me. Later on in the video, I'll show you a promo video and show you the rest of the miniatures that they are releasing this month, and you can see where this one nestled into the rest of the range, and then I'll explain why it jumped out at me. So Basilicanum Grey was the first color that I chose, and this was for the kind of undersuit that's worn underneath the armor. I actually noticed Arch Villain Games reach out on their Instagram account and ask people what they thought the official color scheme for these guys should be. So I guess they were having some of the same struggles as me, which was when I had this model in my hand for the first time, I was trying to figure out what color scheme would be best for it. Did I want to go grim dark? Did I want to go super sci-fi? There's so many possibilities. So for this one, I decided to go more kind of bright, vibrant, and exciting, if you will. So I started with, like I said, the grey undersuit, very simple and easy way to kind of frame the model. And then it was time to work on the armor. So for the armor, I could have gone, the Arbites route with black armor and stuff like that, but I actually decided to go for a deep, rich, maroony red. So I'm going to start with the contrast Flesh Tears Red and apply that to all of the armor panels on this miniature. He does have really nice segmented armor. It's kind of spread out on his body in a really nice way, especially like the torso armor. It's really, really aesthetically pleasing. There's a bunch of miniature agnostic games that I've been interested in giving a try, like Space Station Zero and stuff like that. And when kind of thinking about which models I would like to make up my boarding party or whatever, Arch Villain Games for sure jumps out to me. After I applied all of the red, this is where we were at. I was really liking the quantity of red on the model and where the placement of the red was. But I then had the problem of coming to the kind of skirty loinclothy thing he had around his waist. And I ended up going for a Terradon Turquoise scream. I did actually Google colors that go correct with red and different tones, different shades, and what that would look like. And red kind of goes with a lot of things, lots of oranges, lots of yellows, greens and blues. So I actually decided to go for a turquoise to have a little bit of fun. Like I said, I wanted to push this more to kind of a bright and vibrant kind of spectrum, and turquoise is always such a beautiful and interesting color. From here, I'm just going to quickly add some color to the belt, and for that I'm going to use Wildwood. I just want it to be like a deep, rich leather belt with all the different pouches, which I just imagine are filled to the brim with clips for his pistol, and this guy just barks off round after round after round when he's in combat. Until you get in close and think you finally have him, and then that armored powered fist in his right hand comes swinging at you. Then you realize what a terrible mistake you've made. Lead Belcher was my base color of choice for the metallics. Not a lot of metallics on this miniature. There's the chain wrapped around the center of his body, and then there's the pistol in his hand. Now I've decided to do some of the casing of the pistol in red, and then just the rest of it in silver. After that, all I'm going to do is move across and wash the model with Nuln Oil. And while the model is drying, I'm going to do some work on the base. And while I'm waiting for the base and the shade to dry, I thought I would actually spend a little bit of time and talk to you about this month's release from Arch Villain Games. which is of course the gnarly Syndicate. So when they approached me once again for another video, the Ardent Syndicate definitely jumped out at me as a very interesting series of miniatures. They always have these big, gigantic, beautiful centerpieces, and it's usually one of the first things that I gravitate towards, or the large mech models, which are usually the one I actually choose. If you've looked at a bunch of my other Arch Villain games, it's usually this scale of miniature that jumps out at me, and they in fact have sent me across the files of some of these, and I'm actually going to print one out and paint one up just for myself, not as a featured video for them. For some reason, when I saw this slideshow and I saw that model in the top right, he just is so perfectly posed. I love it, and I wanted it immediately. Obviously, the flying assault guys are also pretty cool. The Valkyries on the smoke plumes. And of course, heavy infantry. What a warband wouldn't be set without some heavy shock infantry. So as you can see, today's or this month's release is just as stunning as all the other months. So check it out with all the links below. Show them some love and get involved. Okay, now that the model was dry from its shade and I gotten some texture on the base, it's time to start brightening everything up. So I started with a Khorne Red for all of the red armor panels. Like I said, it's nice segmented armor, and I want to pay homage to the fact that it is segmented. So I'm going to be leaving the dark shaded flesh tears red in all the recesses, and just really hitting like halfway down the panels in some cases, and then pulling it down to the tip. With the Khorne Red, I wanted it to definitely have that maroon feel to it. There's something about red that I'm usually drawn to. It's not my favorite color or anything. That would be orange, if you're in any way, shape or form curious. But red is something that I tend to gravitate towards whilst painting. It's such an enjoyable color to paint. It always pops on the battlefield, and you can pair it with so many other colors and change how it looks in different tones. It's just fantastic. So as you see, I've got a fine pointed brush, and I'm taking my time with this, not wanting to overshoot with the Khorne Red on any of the panels. I don't want to hit any of that grey undersuit or any of those other parts. Now that I have decided on what color scheme my Ardent are going to be, the red and the turquoise, now I suddenly want to paint a mech because I'm super curious to know what a mech would look like in this big bright tones. I think it would stand out really, really well. I decided to jump up another layer with the red, so I'm going to do Mephiston Red. And like I said before, I started about halfway down with the last one, so this time I'm going to start about 30% of the way down, if 30% from the end, if you know what I mean, 70% down. So less coverage. I'm just going to add a couple of quick extra highlights just to really make it pop. Once again, taking my time not to fill in any of those shaded parts. There is something about segmented armor like Dark Eldar and the likes that I do quite enjoy painting. It's just so easily defined as to where you're supposed to put highlights and stuff. Sons of Horus Green is where I decided to go to add a little bit extra color to that tabard. And I'm just hitting the kind of high folds of the fabric and leaving all of the creases and recesses nice and dark. This will just make it pop really nicely, but not overshadow the red in any shape. It's just a nice framing color. And once again, my brain is popping as to where that color would go on one of the larger mechs and how that would fit in and what I would do. I have to find some time in my schedule this month and just paint it for myself, maybe. With the cloth all tidied up, it's just going in with a bit of brighter metallic. So I went actually back for lead belger because it's been washed down, so it can act as a highlight, but you can go brighter if you want to, and just add a couple of quick highlights to the metallic parts. Bigger models like the heavy shock infantry and the robots are going to obviously be more metallic, but this guy, just the chain around his chest and the pistol once again are just going to cut a couple of quick highlights. And then I decided to quickly block in some of the buckles, holding on his greaves and van braces and stuff like that. With that, we're going to use Catachan Flesh, is a really nice rich brown color, to quickly highlight the wildwood. It will make it pop a little bit. It'll definitely give it a bit more volume, but it's not going to scream out at you. It's definitely a secondary color in the model. I don't want it to take away from the red or the turquoise or anything like that. From here, I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction, and I'm actually going to use Ard Coat because I really want this armor to look like kind of like a synthetic, like a polymer, or I can't really remember quite the word that I wanted for, but a lot of the sci-fi shows have that kind of really shiny armor. Like Stormtrooper armor, for instance, would be that kind of hardened plastic, but actually acts as body armor. And to give it that effect, I just threw Ard Coat, which is a gloss varnish, all over the red parts of the armor, just to make it look a little bit different to some of the other and more normal paint jobs that I have done. And with that dried, that's my finished Ardent Syndicate miniature for this month's video for Archvillain Games. Like I said, I really enjoyed the process. I'm going to show you a couple of high definition photographs of it now over some kind of a darker background and then over some white, just to give you some better ideas of what it will look like on a tabletop. I found I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. And like I said, can't wait to get printing and get some more models from this month's release on my painting desk in the very near future. What can I say? I'm incredibly pleased and satisfied with the results of this painting video. The Ardare Syndicate miniatures are beyond stunning, and even the most basic of infantry, which is the one I painted here today, turned out fantastic. I'm in talks with Archvillain Games to perhaps bring you a battle report on their game system based around this entire 40k release. Obviously, this is their 6th gang they have now brought out, so I think they have the numbers to justify me doing a battle report. I got to pick which 2 gangs I want to be working with, get forces of both of those painted up and onto a tabletop for you guys sometime in the near future. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Make sure you give it a like if you enjoyed the content. Ask me any questions you want in the comments below and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do hit that button. It only takes 2 seconds out of your day. It means the world to me. Once again, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.